The governor announced a plan to increase testing in the state of Texas. Of course, that's welcome news here in the city of San Antonio and every major metro in our community. Part of that plan is to deploy 50 State Guard run operations for mobile testing. All 50 of those teams, you should know, are being trained here in San Antonio. Once again, the state of Texas is looking for leadership in emergency response and has found it here in San Antonio. Those teams will be completely trained by tomorrow, and already 6 teams will be deployed here in San Antonio. We have one team that is going to be conducting a mobile site for testing at the Frank Garrett Center. I also want to say thank you to our Hindu faith community who has recently donated 7,000 new masks to first responders here in our city. The community has stepped up big, and we want to thank those members of our Hindu faith community for helping to protect our first responders. Do want to also note, for those who are interested and are able, we have donations set up for masks, new masks for the most vulnerable San Antonians, and that's going to go on a week from today from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Tri-Point. That's at 281 in North St. Mary. So if you have masks that you'd like to donate, new masks to donate, you can do that a week from today. Judge?
Yeah, thank you. As the mayor mentioned, we had about 103 more tested positive yesterday, but out of that 103, 91 were at the jail, which means out in the community there were only 12 positives. That's the lowest one. Lowest number that we've had since we started. So that's a positive sign. Now, at the jail, we are testing everybody that's asymptomatic, and the numbers are running kind of high. Again, we don't know for sure how they pass it on to someone else, and if they do, how do they do it? So we are segregating them to be safe and to make sure they're in a separate place. We did get an increase of some 18 yesterday, bringing us to a total of 147 cumulative cases. It was 157, but 10 of them have recovered. So we'll continue the testing program, continue to separate the inmates that do test positive, although they are not sick. But out of caution, we're doing that. And a general rule, I think you hold them for 10 days in that circumstances. The mayor and I did have a good chance to talk with the leadership of the Economic Recovery Group that they're presenting their report to a joint session of the Commissioner's Court and the San Antonio City Council next Tuesday. We're encouraged by what they've done. I know we all have different opinions of whether the governor acted too soon or not. That really doesn't matter. The fact is he acted, he made a decision, and now it's important to us that we handle it in the proper way. So when we had the report back from the Health Committee last week, we took measures right after that to ensure that people would act in a responsible manner by requiring the face covering, by requiring the stay at home if you don't need to be out, particularly people that are vulnerable with health complications. We added to that health standards that needed to be done by each business. So now we have the economic group coming back. While they cannot decide when somebody's open, that's already been decided, and the mayor and the governor will decide again on May the 18th whether to expand that depending on how good we do. So we need to do everything we can to make it work. What they'll be focusing on, I believe, when they talk to their council and to the mayor, they'll focus quite a bit on the small businesses. They have a much harder time. They have a harder time getting a loan because they don't have all the expertise. They probably have a harder time starting up, of getting all the PPE equipment that they need, gloves and masks and sanitizers and hand wash. So we're going to be working on trying to get that to them. They're probably going to be needing some assistance in training and assistance in maybe some startup funds, how they get going. So we'll hear that report, the full report, next Tuesday. And then it'll be incumbent on the business community to follow that report, and then for us to see where we can step up and help the small businesses be successful.
Thank you, Judge. And we did get briefed a little bit about what to expect on Tuesday. So they're working towards a final product. And I don't know about you, but I was very encouraged that the economic team seems to be emphasizing consumer confidence as one way to get our economy back on its feet. And consumer confidence comes from an understanding that we have to conduct ourselves in a safe manner as well as an economically strong manner if we're going to get everything back going again. So that's encouraging to hear. I also want to thank you. The entire community has rallied over these last couple months, the city, the county, the community, all together to make sure that our most vulnerable San Antonians are being taken care of. Those folks who have worked very hard on the front lines of this, from the grocery stores to our healthcare workers, our hospitals, the teachers who have pivoted in dramatic ways. Thank you so much for all that you're doing. Keep up the great work. As always, you can get the latest on COVID-19 in our community by texting COSA Gov to 55000, or you can go to the website at covid19.sanantonio.gov. As you know, we do have emergency orders in place, stay home, work safe, and we have Assistant City Attorney Liz Provencio to help us address any questions, and so we'll go to those now.
Good evening. Judge, just wanted to clarify really quick on the number of positive cases with inmates at the jail. Was that 147 that have tested positive?
Well, yes, I think it was actually 157, 147, the number they give me now, total, that's total, of which 10 have recovered. We have actually 122 in the jail right now. Some of them, as I mentioned, this is an ongoing population. People come in, people go out, and we do have some in the hospital also. But right now in the jail, we know of 122 that are positive, and most of those have been asymptomatic. We saw that number jump from 60 to 120 or so within 2 or 3 days. So that's what we're facing in the jail, and we're segregating each one that are asymptomatic with positive over here, that have the COVID and have symptoms in another unit, and then of course those that don't have any in others.
How about the number of deputies or staff at the jail? Do we have that number of the?
I don't have the breakout. I was asking that today, and I don't have the number of how many of the deputies. I think there's something like, 700 that we've tested now, and haven't got all the results yet.
And with regards to Deputy De La Fuente's COVID-19 test, I know he was tested on Tuesday, and he was planning to receive that test result yesterday. Unfortunately, he did pass away. Do we know if that was from complications from the virus, or have you all been notified?
I think we have to assume it was. It's my understanding he died of a heart attack. The COVID, I guess you'd say it's COVID related for sure. There'll be a medical examiner, but that takes, weeks to do. But I think you can assume that it is a COVID-related death, and because he did indeed have it.
And yesterday you mentioned that we were the emphasis was on guards and testing, and we had, I believe it was 120 some odd inmates that were tested yesterday. Where are we right now with testing inmates? Has that number increased at all?
Well, I know they're putting additional resources out there. The last number I had, they were testing 150 a day. That's between inmates and guards. That number could be going up because I know they did get some additional help out there, and I believe National Guard, aren't they going out there to help do some? And
this briefing is continuing right now on KENS5.com, the KENS5 app, and the KENS5 Facebook page. Here's the latest numbers. 1,477 total confirmed cases. 683 patients have recovered, and deaths remain unchanged at 48. The mayor says under the governor's order with the Texas National Guard teams that will help run testing in Texas, they will all be trained by tomorrow, and some of the teams will be deployed in San Antonio. The judge says the county is continuing the testing program at the jail to get a handle on the rise of coronavirus cases there. We will be right back.